Thor Ragnarok is the third installment in the Thor franchise and is the follow-up to Thor The Dark World. And once again, Chris Hemsworth reprises his role as Thor in this film, and the film also stars Tom Hiddleston, Cate Blanchett, and Mark Ruffalo. In the third installment of the Thor franchise, Thor and Loki are reunited on Asgard, only to be diverted to a distant planet after the goddess of death Hela takes over Asgard to begin Ragnarok. And on this distant planet, Thor is thrown into a gladiator match against the Hulk. To me, the Thor franchise is given a bad reputation. The first movie I found very enjoyable. The second film, while I do feel like it follows a very cliche route and the villain there wasn't very good, there were plenty of interesting and intriguing storylines, specifically with Thor and Loki, and the ending to that movie made me very intrigued to see what would happen next, and was one of the reasons why I was anticipating Thor Ragnarok so much this year. So for Thor Ragnarok, this movie is completely different than the first two. In fact, this one goes in such a different route that it's not even the same genre. Thor Ragnarok is a straight up comedy. And it's a very welcome change to the Thor movies. I feel like they definitely need to change up something after there's been, I think, 16 movies prior to Thor Ragnarok. It's great to see Thor have more character, and he's very funny in this movie. I love it how they changed his character a lot for this movie compared to how he was in the first two ones. And of course, in this movie, we see the brotherhood between Loki and Thor reach new heights, but we also see a different direction this movie goes, where we have Thor and the Hulk, and they have some sort of camaraderie going on in this film. And this movie did that very well. The camaraderie between Thor and Loki and Thor and Hulk was done very well, and I enjoyed all the scenes those guys were in together. For once, the Hulk wasn't just a raging monster who destroyed everything in his sight. We actually had a character for the Hulk for once. Let me talk about the main villain here, Hela. I thought Cate Blanchett did a great job and added, once again, another very good villain, and that's the third villain in the MCU we've had this year that was very strong. Her performance was convincing while also being strong, which is exactly what you want from an MCU villain. The action scenes here were very well filmed and extremely surprising. I thought the action here was some of the best action we've had in an MCU movie in a very long time. This is exactly what we want to see from a Thor movie. We don't really want to see Thor on the ground of Earth fighting another god. No, it's not nearly as cool as when Thor is fighting another god on Asgard, because that stuff was awesome. This movie was also very colorful, which was surprising because the other two Thor movies had barely any color. They kind of reminded me of a DC movie, but this movie, to my surprise, was very colorful. And I just liked how this movie changed it up from your typical MCU movie. What else is there to possibly do nowadays? We see a lot of repeats and origin stories such as Iron Man, Captain America, and most recently Doctor Strange. Those movies are almost entirely the same thing if you think about it. So thankfully this movie went in a different direction for once, and also my favorite scenes from this movie took place on the distant planet where Jeff Goldblum was the ruler of all the people there. And the gladiator match that takes place between Thor and Hulk was very well done, but also felt completely different from anything we've seen before, and I loved it. And when I also say this movie is very different from your typical MCU movie, it's a funny movie for sure. Everybody in the audience, I would say, was probably laughing at least 1 or 2 times per minute. This movie has a lot of jokes that they might have done overkill once in a while, but I thought this movie was very funny, and I liked it how they finally changed up and made it a comedy. When it comes to a couple of problems I had with Thor Ragnarok, one thing is that there are certain elements that are brought up in this film, and they never thoroughly explain how it happened or what exactly is going on with a certain character. Specifically with the Hulk, there are certain things that are happening with him that they never actually explain, which was disappointing. And there were certain things that happened with Thor in the early stages of this film that they never really explained. They just kind of glossed over. And I get it, it's kind of hard to explain everything that's going on in the MCU movies. There's 17 now, plus all the after credit scenes. It wouldn't surprise me if they're not going to be able to explain everything that happens, as well as even go into all the after credit scenes and make it all connect together. It's so hard when you have so many movies in a universe. And like I said earlier, this movie has a lot of jokes, and not all the jokes hit for me because there's so many here that I can't just possibly laugh at every single one. Also, Natalie Portman is not in this movie, and I really liked her character in the first two movies, and Natalie Portman is a great actress. it's a little bit disappointing to see that she was not in this one, and they have a stupid reason to say why she's not in here. And also, there's a character who I will not spoil is in this movie, but I feel like his reasoning for being here is just pointless and just another reason to have him be in the movie. That just about covers all the flaws I had with Thor Ragnarok. I had a great time with this movie. I thought it's definitely one of the better movies we've had in the MCU thus far. It's a really funny movie. It has a lot of great action, and thankfully we have more character given to Thor, as well as the Hulk, and some other cool characters are introduced in this movie. I thought this one was a lot of fun, and I had a blast with it. I'm going to give Thor Ragnarok an 84%. This is definitely, without a doubt, one of the best years we've had for the MCU in a while. Guardians 2 killed it. Spider-Man Homecoming was another very good film, and Thor Ragnarok, once again, does it for the MCU. Have you guys seen Thor Ragnarok? If you have, let me know down below in the comment section if you agree or disagree with my opinion. So this weekend we have Murder on the Orient Express. I'm going to check that one out and get a review up for you guys. And my thank you for your service review should come out within the next couple of weeks. Once I get back to my original theater, I'll be able to see it. And I'm also going to have another video for you guys coming out this week, so look for all these reviews. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe and follow me on Twitter at SvenSulley and follow me on Snapchat at SvenMovies. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.